Good day, Virgin Islanders at home and abroad. Today, we start with our update as usual. So far, we have tested 688 individuals for COVID-19 in the territory. 583 of those tests came back negative, and 54 of those tests came back positive. We have 51 tests pending, and 48 out of the 54 positive have recovered from the COVID virus. And unfortunately, as you know, we have 3 fatalities in the territory, which means that we're currently tracking 3 individuals with current COVID, the COVID virus in the territory. There are no COVID positive patients in either of our hospitals. We do have 1 patient that is still recovering from COVID-related illness, but they are showing negative as far as COVID at this time in St. Thomas. Yesterday, we had the privilege of touring our RTI, our Regional Training Institute, which is supposed to be the site of our spillover unit. I'm joined today by Colonel Hibner of the Army Corps of Engineers, who will talk to you a little bit more about what we're doing there. I want to caution the public that this pandemic, it's going to be with us for a while longer, and as we reopen the economy, because sooner or later we're going to have to reopen the economy, it's not unreasonable to see that we will have infections, surges that come and go. They will increase over time, and then they will decrease. But the main concern is not to avoid the virus, because we know that's impossible. You cannot avoid this virus, but to be prepared to isolate any outbreaks and treat the affected patients with the best medical care available. There is a second wave that is being contemplated and discussed at a national level. And our strategy here at home is really to just prepare for the pandemic, for pandemic management, as a new way of life, something that we have to deal with just like we deal with hurricanes. We are preparing for what comes next, and I'm pleased to announce that Roy Lester Snyder Hospital in St. Thomas has completed phase 1 of its COVID-19 wing and can now accommodate more than 20 additional acute care beds specifically designated for COVID-19 positive patients. This suite is equipped with the negative pressure in order to isolate any virus infections in that part of the hospital and make sure that we don't have any spread from that wing. We congratulate Dr. Amaro and the entire staff at the Roy Lester Snyder for their excellent work that they have been doing. We have also begun construction on a facility at the Estate Bethlehem Military Compound, the Regional Training Institute. This is in St. Croix, and it is headed by Colonel Dan Hibner from the Army Corps of Engineers. As I said before, he is here today to discuss the details of the project. We have additional ventilators on order and are continuing to build our stockpile of protective equipment. This is one of the major pieces of us reopening our economy, is to be able to have more ventilators on store in case of a surge. Right now we have about 87. That's one-time use vents combined with the permanent vents in the territory. So we have these on order. We're expecting 12 for one island and 13 for the other as we respond to this virus. We also have recommissioned some equipment that we've had from before in order to work that we have vents. We continue to get protective equipment more masks. We got, the other day, we got coveralls, face shields, 60,000 regular masks and 50,000 N95 masks. So what we're doing is we're building up our territorial stockpile because, as I said, we're going to be dealing with this for a while, and we want to make sure that we can respond at any given time for a serve. One thing I can say is that we are so much better prepared today than we were 60 days ago. I got off the phone this morning with Regional Administrator of FEMA, Tom Van Essen, and my concern to him was not essentially the health scare or the health pandemic that we're dealing with, but the economic pandemic that we have to deal with. We talked about all the things from the last disaster that we still haven't gotten straight as yet, including the payments to the vendors for the roofing program, a lot of the money that needs to be allotted and designated an answer on our 428 programs, which is pending since March. So we have a lot of things from the past that we are hoping will help us create the economic platform to recover from this disaster that we are going through now. We are happy to announce we received our stimulus allocation from the CARES Act. We now have in our coffers $75 million. And, you know, this was money that we really needed to respond to some of the things that are happening locally, your situation at home. And some of the immediate actions that we want to take with this includes the YES program, or Your Energy Stimulus. As I told you, this is the energy stimulus that we're providing a $250 credit on every residential bill and a $500 credit on every commercial bill. We're very close to getting this squared away and being able to, for you to be able to see that on your bill. It also includes funding for our safe transit subsidy. One of the things that we did early on was try to get the ferries to limit the amount of people traveling to and from St. John. That, of course, had an economic result, so we're setting aside some funds now to give to both passenger ferry companies that take residents to and from St. Thomas and St. John. This revenue would also be used to fund the disabled and senior citizens transit providers, because we want to be able to provide transit for those people who are in the highest risk group and may not be able to get around as they usually did through Vitran or other transportation. Effective today, we are also implementing a rent freeze for the duration of the state of the emergency. This is for tenanted apartments. Landlords may not raise the rent whether or not the lease has expired until the state of emergency expires. Now, I've been getting a lot of questions from people who are talking about their rent and they're getting eviction notices. I want to be clear. While we have an eviction freeze, the eviction process continues. So if you're not paying your rent, your landlord can move for eviction and do everything necessary for eviction. They just can't put you out of the apartment until the end of the state of emergency. So we're urging you today, do your best to try to pay your rent or any rent payment programs that you may be a part of, because once the state of emergency is done, they could evict you technically the next day. We're working hard to get you the money that you need to do the things like buy your groceries, pay your rent, and be able to survive for you and your family. But make sure that if you can, that you apply money to where you can. Stay off the internet. Don't spend your money on the internet. Spend it locally. Pay your rent. And before I close today, I just want to recognize our family of American Sign Language interpreters for their support and unrelenting commitment to ensuring that our residents of the deaf community receive this critical information on coronavirus. In particular, I want to ask all of you to extend a virtual hug and your condolences in the comments to your interpreters, Yasmin and Stephanie, on the loss of their colleague, Ben Clark. Ben and his wife, Cindy, both served as ASL interpreters in St. Thomas for almost a year, providing ASL services to the long-term recovery groups during the early phase of the recovery after Irma and Maria. Our condolences to his family. We would also, on a happier note, we would also like to wish a very, very happy birthday to our very own Director of ITEMA, Daryl Jashin. We're not going to tell you how old he is, but we hope that he takes a minute or two to enjoy and celebrate his trip around the sun on another year. And another reminder, as you keep calling me and asking the same questions over and over again, the stay-at-home order is still in effect, and all of the other orders are still in effect. The only thing that we did was allowed you to go to the beach, and you're supposed to be doing that sparingly. All those mandates remain in place until April 30th. Currently, the state of emergency extends until May 12th right now. We are preparing the paperwork to send back to the legislature in order to get the authorization to extend that until June 12th. So there's going to, if all goes well with the legislature, you should expect to see a state of emergency until at least June 12th of this year. The restrictions tied to that state of emergency extension will be announced as quickly as we've decided what we're going to do on April 30th. But for now, I'm going to say it again, there'll be no reservations of any hotels open till at least May 15th. So it could be June 1st, but no earlier than May 15th. We're doing and having the discussions now, getting the testing together to see how we could test every single person that touches our shores. Once we do that, then we'll feel comfortable opening up our shores. And I'll tell you, people are ready to come back to the Virgin Islands. People who are away, I'm getting calls from hotels. People want to come on vacation. They have weddings planned, different things here. So we want to keep all our people safe as a primary thing. So we're going to be trying to get the testing to a point where we can allow them back. But without further ado, I want to open up the floor to Colonel Hibner to talk a little bit about the Regional Training Institute and the acute care facility that we are building there. Colonel Hibner.
Sir, thank you. And I know early on you and my boss, my division commander, Major General Diana Holland, spoke about what we might be able to offer in terms of expertise in construction support. As the models started coming out and we were starting to see numbers getting developed and peak dates, we were starting to get a little more firm. And now under your leadership, under the direction of FEMA, we formed a joint team with FEMA, of course, your office, the TAG and the National Guard, the Virgin Islands Territory Emergency Management Agency, and then the Virgin Islands Department of Health, along with other associated agencies, organizations, and people who have come together to form this team so that we are able to provide an alternate care facility for the people of the Virgin Islands. And I'd like to note that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, we are uniquely suited for this type of mission for a couple of reasons. Number one, we are used to working under FEMA as their executive arm for emergency operations, and we do that after tornadoes. We do it even here. We're doing it now in the Virgin Islands for hurricane response. And so we bring a unique contracting capability that allows us to quickly put something like this in motion. The United States Army Corps of Engineers has done over 1,000 assessments across the nation and its territories. And of those thousands of assessments, just over 1,000, we've actually done alternate care facilities on a variety of scales, some in convention center, like the Javits Convention Center in New York City, and some as simple as converting hotels into alternate care facilities. So there is a unique capability. We are on the latter part of this mission set, and so we are able to benefit from that, from the lessons learned across our organization that are being shared on a daily basis. And we're bringing that knowledge and those lessons learned with us here in the Virgin Islands. In the Virgin Islands, we've conducted 14 site assessments, and over time, and working with that team that I mentioned a couple minutes ago, we were able to go from 14 and narrow it down to about 6 that were the most likely, and then we were narrowed it down to 3 that we thought might be the best options, and we ended up with the Regional Training Institute on the National Guard installation, which I think is kind of fitting, because the National Guard plays such an important role supporting the citizens of our states and territories. And here again, they are coming to that same call for the territory and for the nation, providing a facility for us that we can adapt so that the Virgin Islands has additional medical care for its people. The Regional Training Institute building is a barracks normally, but because it is a barracks, and because of the type of construction of that facility, it is actually very well suited for adaptation to a medical type facility. The finishes are all hard finishes. They're all very good for keeping clean and sanitary. The bathrooms that we have in the rooms are also all hard surfaces. It's a curbless walk-in type shower in all of those units, so that we'll be able to have the patients go in and use the shower when and if they can. The rooms themselves easily accommodate 2 beds. We'll be able to surface run wires, conduit, and other type infrastructure that are necessary to adapt those rooms so that they are medical care type facilities. The rooms adjoin, providing easy access for medical care workers to go across 2 rooms for patient care. The entry to the facility offers a large enough area that we can set up a number of nurses stations, so that as people come in, they'll be able to get tested, they'll be evaluated, and the nurses will be able to provide them information for what they need to do, or they will be admitted. There's a separate area that is an admin area, so that we can have office type activities that is necessary to manage a medical facility. And that barrier allows us basically to have certain zones in the building where you have a cold zone where most of the office workers will be, and where the nurses and doctors would be able to, don their PPE and get ready to go into the hot zone, which is actually where the medical care will be happening in the rooms. And then that we have a warm zone in that foyer area that I was talking about. So there's a lot of advantages. There's a couple of challenges with the facility as well. One of them being that the facility was actually under a contract with the Corps of Engineers for repair because of previous hurricane damage. So the HVAC system was damaged and not operable. Related to that, the fire suppression system was also not operable, which also means that the elevator is automatically shut off so that you can't use elevator if there was a fire without a fire suppression system. We have to tap into the backup generator there, which is an advantage, but we still need to do that. There's some facilities that we're not able to put into the building to include a laundry facility, so that's a challenge that we're going to be overcoming. Another challenge is, even if the elevator is operable, it can't fit a gurney. So the staff will be able to use it. Some patients may be able to use it, but we won't be able to put patients that are in a gurney in there to get them to the second floor of the facility. And so what we will do is we'll actually put we'll build an elevator on the exterior of the building, modify the balcony so that we can safely transfer patients up to the second floor. The facility itself is going to be a 46-bed COVID acute care facility. We have 13 rooms on the first floor that were designated for COVID acute care, and basically the first floor is a mirror image of the second floor with 13 rooms there as well, and 2 beds each, so you get your 46-bed capability. One of the things that is working in our favor in executing this contract is we have a contractor that was actually already on site doing some repairs and other work on the National Guard installation. And so there's already an office trailer there for that contractor. There was staff there already. There's some materials that could potentially be used. And certainly the local knowledge that is resident in that contractor is a huge advantage for us as well. And they also have an appreciation for the logistical challenges that come with working on an island. So big advantages with Conti Federal Services that we selected to do the work, but one of the biggest advantages that we're going to have with Conti Federal Services is that they did a alternate care facility contract already in New Jersey, and they've already sent a team yesterday. We've already been in contact with them in the last couple of days, but there's 4 folks coming from New Jersey. They just finished their facility there. They're coming here to share their expertise and their lessons learned so that we have all the best knowledge and expertise here available right at the site. In terms of where we are in doing the site adaptation for the RTI building, the barracks, we're rapidly moving into our final design. We will have the final design done no later than the end of the week this Friday. And literally, Conti Federal Services, along with my team, along with Vitima, along with your Department of Health, along with the National Guard and the TAG, we're working around the clock, literally 24 hours a day on that design. The effort does not stop, it doesn't pause, it doesn't rest. And we're doing that so that we can get to construction as rapidly as possible so that we know that the facility will be operable and ready to receive patients before the peak date, which is estimated at 8 May. So by 8 May, we will deliver this facility. It will be patient ready, and we will not falter in our mission to provide this facility for the people of the Virgin Islands. And then, sir, I'd like to note that I've served a number of years, 3+ years in contingency operations areas. I've done quite a few combat tours, and I've never been more proud to answer the call to my nation and to the citizens of the Virgin Islands in my career than I am right now, where we're providing this important facility so that when and if it becomes necessary, we are able to take care of the people of the Virgin Islands. But I also would like to note that this team that I keep talking about, we will be most successful if we never use this facility. If we're able to prevent the contagion effectively enough that the facility is never used, that's a good news story, and that's a win for everybody. And even if we don't use it right now, I know that plans from your office that you're considering are to keep it in the state it will be as an alternate care facility into the near future until we can evaluate the chances or what may happen in terms of a second or third wave, so that we keep that capability intact until we know we're in the clear. And this facility will stand up to that time requirement that you need, and it will remain ready. And the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers will remain ready to support the Virgin Islands in any other way that is necessary. So, sir, we're proud to be here. I'm happy to be here today, and I'm happy to take any questions regarding the facility. But with that, I'd like to turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Colonel Hibner. We'd like to really thank the Army Corps and welcome them to the Virgin Islands. This is a tremendous effort. And exactly like you said yesterday, the best thing would be that we never, ever have to use this facility. But one thing we know in the Virgin Islands is that we can never have enough resources. So we're grateful. So now we're going to have some alternatives in the new wing in St. Thomas that is being built, as well as the RTI Center here in St. Croix. I know you guys are still asking questions about education and schools, so we're also joined today by our Commissioner, Racquel Berry-Benjamin. People keep calling me and asking me why we can't have school, mostly parents. The one thing that we know we can't do is make children socially separate. There's no social distancing for them, and we want to keep them as safe as possible. Even though they have been the most hardy demographic in terms of dealing with the virus, they have the lowest infection rate, but we want to make sure that we don't put them in any danger. So Commissioner Benjamin will provide us with an update on what's going on in education.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon, Virgin Islands community. I am Racquel Berry-Benjamin, Commissioner of Education, extending greetings to you from the VI Department of Education. COVID-19 has temporarily altered the execution of many important operations, including the VI Board of Education's policy that governs the promotion and retention of our students. To ensure that student absences related to COVID-19 do not negatively impact student achievement, the Board of Education has suspended its retention and promotion policy for the 2019-2020 school year, given that certain conditions are met. To read the complete draft of the Board of Education's resolution, visit www.vide.vi. In an effort to exercise fairness among all students in light of the disruptions caused by COVID-19, the VI Department of Education has restructured the 2019-2020 school year to a total of 3 marking periods instead of 4. By doing this, students' overall final averages will be calculated using only final averages from the first, second, and third marking periods. The 4th marking period will not be included in the calculation. Rather, the 4th marking period, which is currently underway, will be used for academic enhancement and/or credit recovery. Grades earned during the 4th marking period will be used to either replace a student's failing 3rd marking period grade or enhance a student's passing grade. An average of 70% is the required passing minimum grade for students as established by the VI Board of Education. The aforementioned plan will allow for students earning less than a 70% per subject as of March 17, 2020, the opportunity to earn an average of 70% or higher. And students who have earned a 70% or higher average as of March 17, 2020, the opportunity to improve their grade if they wish to do so. The Department of Education is committed to the success of every student. As such, we've created a distribution schedule for laptops and internet devices for students in need of these items. Please note, the priority will be given to 12th grade students who have earned less than a 70% average by March 17, 2020, and are in need of the technology devices. The items will further be distributed to students who need them from 11th grade down with an average of less than 70%. Students who have met the 70% GPA requirement by March 17th, but who wish to improve their grade and are in need of the technology devices will be the last group to receive those electronics. A comprehensive distribution schedule will be announced and posted on the department's website and Facebook page once it's completed. In an effort to allow all students to improve their grades, whether they are passing or not, or using technology provided by the VIDE or their own means, the online educational platforms of Edmentum, Acellus, and iReady will remain available for all public school students to access through the end of the school year. Students must complete assignments on these platforms required by their teachers. No final exams will be administered for the 2019-2020 school year. The National Academy Foundation, which provides industry certification for students in our hospitality and tourism, health sciences, and finance academies, has informed the VIDE that credit will be given by default to all CTE students who were actively enrolled in the academics as of March 17, 2020. Construction pathway students who received industry certification from the National Center for Construction Education and Research will receive certification for the 2019-2020 school year upon the completion of data being entered by our teachers. Students enrolled in night school and/or the Racquel O. Wheatley Skills Center are governed by the aforementioned 70% GPA requirement set by the Board of Education. Adult education students who have successfully passed their GED examination will receive a high school diploma. As announced in my last update, students have until Friday, April 24th, 2020 to submit completed assignments from the work packets they received on March 17th. Take a photo of your completed work and email to your teacher. Furthermore, the department will be offering summer enrichment and credit recovery opportunities during the summer months. These will likely be done remotely. By contract, school-based personnel will be on spring break from April 27th to May 1st. Remote teaching will be fully suspended during this period, as well as breakfast and lunch distributions across the 2 districts. Teachers will resume remote instruction following spring break on Monday, May 4th. Breakfast and lunch distributions will also resume at that time. The 4th marking period is March 23rd to June 4th, 2020. The last day of school for the 2019-2020 school year is June 4th, 2020. As previously announced, the department is considering a variety of graduations for the 2019-2020 school year, and we've already begun exploring virtual options. Graduation committees in each district are currently spearheading those efforts. In closing, I wish to extend my sincere condolences to the families of Mr. Michael McKee and Mr. Michael Mayo, 2 VIDE team members who have recently passed away. I also extend my deepest gratitude to the hard-working employees of the VI Department of Education who continue to provide essential services to students and families during this critical time. None of this would be possible without you. Thank you. For regular updates on the VI Department of Education, please visit our website at www.vide.vi and our Facebook page. You may also email public.relations@vide.vi with any questions or concerns you might have. We will get through this together. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Commissioner. I guess we'll open the floor right now to the reporters and the press. Any questions? We have 2 questions. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Governor and Commissioner.
Good afternoon,
This
Sarah.
is Sarah Burke with TV2. Thank you. How are you?
Good, good.
Thank you so much for, especially the Commissioner, for providing us with at least an outline in terms of what the educational plan is looking out to roll out. My question is, the 24th is a due date for assignment, Commissioner. How have the stream work process been working thus far for children to be submitting? Has it been a little bit smoother than anticipated? I know that because of the limitations within technology up to this point, it presented a series of challenges, and I just wanted to get a feel for if the workload has been submitted in a timely fashion thus far. I know that Friday, and I'm going to continue to announce it in hopes that our community continues to submit their work, but how has the flow been thus far, Commissioner?
Repeat.
How has the workflow been in terms of students turning in their reports on the online?
Okay, thank you for the question. Actually, it's been going well. The students who have access at home for internet are using our electronic platforms, such as Edmenta Marcellus. Those that do not have that access and are submitting work, they're actually taking photos like we recommended and emailing to their teachers.
Right.
Like any operation, we have 1 or 2 glitches, and we address those from the school level with principals' intervention.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. And Governor, my last question is, I know that you wrote a letter to Congress requesting additional funding because of our extenuating circumstances, being that the Virgin Islands economic strand is pretty much tourism, and currently we do not have cruise ships or hotels that, people coming onto an island. How soon do you anticipate a response from your letter, and do you believe it will be a favorable one?
Well, just for clarity, we've written a lot of letters. I feel like I've been writing them for months. So far, it has been very, very positive.
I'm talking about
yeah, I know the ones you're referring to, but it's been very positive response. We have a long wish list of things that we've asked for, but I keep stressing that the one that I'm most concerned about is the forgiveness of the loans and the 10% waiver of the match that we have to give. So that alone represents $800 million, and if you count in the fact that we'll be able to borrow $300 more million, it's a $1.1 billion package We don't know if we'll get everything, but we're confident from how things are looking that we'll be getting the support that we need. I think that we've almost done too good a job handling the health pandemic, so it is kind of negatively impacting us in terms of money that is being sent this way. Our hospitals are not overrun. We don't have people in the hallways, thank God. So we're not getting a lot of that emergency funding we would have gotten had we not done the preliminary things that we've done. But we're confident that it'll happen. The thing is if you're keeping track of the pandemic, most of the states are now getting a grip on their pandemic health crisis. So they can have the time to focus now on the pandemic economic crisis. With the help of Army Corps, additional ventilators, PPEs now, you're not hearing those discussions anymore. States are slowly turning to, we're not going to have enough money to make it through the year and business as business as usual. And if you see what Congress has done to the businesses, they continually, we just had another $350 billion set aside for small businesses to be able to get the payroll protection program. Want to encourage our small businesses to keep applying for that. They haven't really done that much for states and governors. So if they get $350 billion to the private sector, we expect to get a good share of that as well in order to make some of these cities whole. Because you can imagine what kind of financial collapse cities like New York, Detroit, Atlanta are facing on the heels of this pandemic crisis.
That's correct. Well, thank you so much, Governor, for answering my questions for TV2 News 2, and have a great day. Keep doing what you're doing and stay COVID-19 safe.
Thank you, Sarah. Other questions? Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Governor, Commissioner, and Colonel Hibner. It's Robert Moore with the VI Consortium.
Hi, Robert.
Hi. So I have a couple of questions about dates that were mentioned. Colonel Hibner mentioned May 8th as the peak date for the coronavirus spread. Can you talk a little bit about what the current projections are in terms of positive tests, anticipated hospitalization as we hit or approach that peak date?
Yeah, Robert, I think the Colonel is more around the structure. As far as the peak date, as Dr. Ellis indicated, there are two Dr. Ellis. There's Dr. Ellis, the wife, and Dr. Ellis, the husband, Esther and Brett, just for clarity. Dr. Esther Ellis indicated that we are going with our original projection, which says that the peak is coming. It was supposed to be between now and the second week of April. Even though our numbers are not reflecting that, we're still adhering to that in terms of policy. On April 30th, we will be announcing what the new look is going to be in terms of what we expect to see moving forward.
Okay, thank you. And if I understood correctly, we're currently anticipating a May 15th opening for hotels to begin to accept reservations. Is that contingent upon the ability to test all incoming travelers to the territory?
Absolutely. At this point, we're going to shoot for every traveler. That may not happen because we may not have the tests to do that, but certainly that's the goal. We'll continue to sort and select those travelers displaying symptoms and get them tested no matter what. But that is the goal. I mean, we would like to be at a situation where we could test every single person that comes to our territory, whether by air or by sea. Even though the sea hasn't yielded any COVID positive patients, that is what we would hope. But we're adhering to CDC and the administration's requirement. We can at least say it now. We've seen 14 days of downward spiral in terms of our graphs and our infection rates. To your point about the peak, it doesn't seem like we're peaking. It seems like we're kind of tapering off. Any new people that we're finding have recently arrived from someplace else to the island. So that's what we're looking at now.
Okay, thank you. And one final question for Commissioner Barry Benjamin. Commissioner, can you talk a little bit about the impact of the school, this disruption in the school year, the impact on college-bound seniors, and also the impact this has had on students who are in the process of obtaining their GED diplomas?
Thank you for the question. Yes, so our students who have met the requirements and passed their GED examination will receive their GEDs. With respect to our seniors, like all of our students, we do have an emotional impact from COVID-19. One of the things we did was implemented mental health support where all of our students, to include seniors, can receive that emotional support. So we're going to tell the public via Facebook, via website, via public announcements on radios, the channels and the numbers in which they can dial to receive the mental health support from our clinicians. With respect to academics, our seniors, as of the third marking period, will be promoted had they met the Board of Education's requirement. The students, the 12th graders needing support to earn the requirements will have the fourth marking period, and I will reiterate, the fourth marking period is specifically designed at this time to allow students who did not meet the requirements to do so. Our number one goal is to make sure our students have an opportunity to learn and increase their current average. As you know, GPA matters for those that are going to attend traditional college as we know it, higher education. So we're making sure we provide that opportunity during the fourth marking period. The school year will end with the first, second, and third, the calculations of the first, second, and third marking periods.
Other questions? No other questions. As we leave today, I just want to say that we're going to starting next week, we're going to be paring down on the amount of press conferences we do. Those will shift to 2 a week instead of 3 a week, unless it's absolutely necessary and we have some information to share with you. In closing, I'd also like to say for those of us who mourn for Carnival and who greatly anticipate its return next year, we're going to, in memory of what should have been this year, we're going to give Friday, next week Friday, which would have been the Children's Parade, administrative leave for government, non-essential government workers. The Division of Festivals and WTJX have provided a wonderful series of events on TV and on Facebook showing you carnivals from years before. I'm sure you might catch a picture of the governor having a good time in there when my hair was black. I also want to thank the Daily News for doing a good job of featuring carnivals past. For those of us who have reveled from time we were small, this is a very special time a year for us, and we miss our friends and families dearly, and I miss all of you and the great time we have. I almost feel cheated. Y'all might want to elect me to a 5th term just to make sure that I get my carnival back for this year. So without further ado, I just want to tell you, love you, God bless you, stay safe, and stay sanitized. Remember, the Spanish version of the press conference comes on right over. Have a fantastic day.
Buen día. Hasta la fecha hemos completado pruebas en 688 individuos para COVID-19 en el territorio. 583 de esas pruebas dieron negativo, 54 positivos y tenemos 51 pruebas pendientes. 48 de los 54 se han recuperado y lamentablemente hemos tenido 3 víctimas mortales. Esto significa que actualmente estamos rastreando a 3 individuos en el territorio con el COVID-19. En este momento no tenemos pacientes con COVID-19 hospitalizados en el territorio. Quiero advertir al público que esta pandemia podría estar con nosotros por un tiempo más. A medida que reabrimos esta economía, no es irrazonable esperar que veamos un aumento de infecciones que disminuyan con el tiempo. La principal preocupación no es evitar el virus, sino estar preparados para aislar cualquier brote y tratar a los pacientes afectados con lo mejor en atención médica. Existe una segunda oleada que se discute a nivel nacional y nuestra estrategia es prepararnos para el manejo de pandemia como una nueva forma de vida. En estos momentos nos estamos preparando para lo que viene después. Me complace anunciar que el Centro Médico Regional Roy Lester Schneider ha completado la fase 1 de su nueva ala COVID y ahora puede acomodar 20 camas de cuidado agudo específicamente designadas para pacientes positivos con COVID-19. Esta ala está equipada con presión negativa para aislar cualquier propagación dentro de esa ala. Felicitamos al doctor Amaro y a su equipo de trabajo por el excelente trabajo que están haciendo. Hemos comenzado la construcción de una instalación en el cuartel militar de Bethlehem en Santa Cruz. El coronel Dan Hibner, del equipo de ingenieros del Ejército de los Estados Unidos, estuvo aquí para discutir los detalles de este proyecto. Hemos ordenado ventiladores adicionales y seguimos construyendo nuestra reserva territorial de protección de equipo personal. Definitivamente estamos mejor preparados ahora que lo que estuvimos 60 días atrás. En nuestra asignación del estímulo local del Acta CARES, hemos recibido la cantidad de $75 millones. Las acciones inmediatas para compensar los daños económicos del coronavirus incluyen un estímulo de energía o el programa YES, en español sí, donde estamos proporcionando un crédito de $250 en cada factura de guapa residencial y $500 en cada factura comercial. También incluye la financiación de nuestro subsidio de tránsito seguro COVID, que se va a proporcionar a los transbordadores de pasajeros en el distrito de St. Thomas, St. John. Estos ingresos también se utilizarán para financiar a los proveedores de tránsito de personas con discapacidades y personas de la edad avanzada para garantizar un transporte seguro para nuestra gente. Hoy también estamos implementando una congelación de alquiler durante el estado de emergencia. Para los apartamentos arrendados, los propietarios no pueden aumentar el alquiler incluso si el contrato de arrendamiento ha expirado. Hoy estoy recordándoles a los inquilinos que mientras tenemos una congelación de desalojo, no hay congelación en el proceso de desalojo, de modo que, si es posible, pague el alquiler. Antes de cerrar hoy, quiero reconocer a nuestra familia de intérpretes de señas por su apoyo y compromiso impecable para asegurar que nuestros residentes con discapacidad auditiva reciban esta información crítica sobre el coronavirus. En particular, quiero pedirles a todos ustedes que extiendan un abrazo virtual y sus condolencias por los comentarios a nuestros intérpretes Jasmine y Stephanie sobre la pérdida de su colega Ben Clark. Ben y su esposa Cindy sirvieron como intérpretes en St. Thomas durante casi un año proporcionando servicios de señas a los grupos de recuperación a largo plazo durante la primera fase después de los huracanes Irma y María. También nos gustaría desear al director Darrell Jashen de Baitima un feliz cumpleaños. Ha estado trabajando arduamente y esperamos que se tome 1 o 2 minutos para disfrutar y celebrar otro viaje alrededor del sol. Basadas en las llamadas y preguntas recibidas, esto es un recordatorio. La orden de quédate en casa y todos los mandatos subsiguientes permanecen en vigor hasta el 30 de abril. Si se prorroga esta orden, ese anuncio se hará lo antes posible. Los hoteles permanecerán cerrados para nuevas reservaciones hasta el 15 de mayo. Por favor, quédate en casa cuando estés enfermo. Practica el distanciamiento social y físico, lávate las manos y cumple con las regulaciones que hemos establecido para tu seguridad. Dios los bendiga y Dios bendiga las Islas Vírgenes de los Estados Unidos. Gracias.